Take a deep breath, take the higher road. That's what they always say, as if they know the way. They won't take it from me. But don't ever doubt yourself, 'cause life ain't just a dream. You make your own, so kick and scream. The people will act with a never-ending force. You never had the chance, so what you waiting for? The day has come, my friend, 'cause this is war. It's time and this is war.
We are living in a time when truth is under full assault, when the very institutions we once trusted have aligned themselves with profit and power. Hospitals that should be sanctuaries of healing are instead operating as extensions of pharmaceutical empires. Governments who swear to serve the people are colluding with big pharma to bury evidence, falsify records, and protect corporate interests over human life. And in this web of deception, nurses are silenced, families are gaslit, and the most vulnerable, our children and our unborn, are left unprotected. But here's what gives me hope. No matter how dark it gets, there are still warriors rising. Men and women who refuse to be complicit, who refuse to bow down, who will not look away while innocent lives are being destroyed. These truth tellers risk their livelihoods, their reputations, and sometimes even their safety to shine light into the darkness. They remind us that light always breaks through when even one person dares to speak the truth. And once that light breaks through, it cannot be extinguished. You're listening to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. And before we get started today, I do want to encourage our listeners, if you have questions or comments, or perhaps you want to share your own experiences with what you're seeing on the front lines of healthcare, you can now submit those to us directly by visiting our website at nursesoutloud.com. We would love to hear from you. We encourage all of you to engage in the battle and find your voice in this fight. But until you're able to do that, we will continue to be that voice for you. Joining me today is Michelle Spencer, the heroic nurse whistleblower who teamed up with top physicians exposing her hospital's evidence proving COVID shots cause miscarriages. In 2021, immediately after the COVID shots were pushed on pregnant women at the hospital, Nurse Spencer witnessed a shocking surge in stillbirths, from 4 per year to 4 per week. Michelle courageously leaked internal hospital data to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. She has since appeared on over 60 platforms to sound the alarm and is now leading a major lawsuit with Children's Health Defense to expose these unethical practices and bring justice for the innocent lives lost. Michelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me on. I am excited to be here.
Absolutely. You've been on before. You've joined me before. I think we've had you on a couple of times. I think we've had you on with Dr. James Thorpe. And I think we had you on again with Dr. Kimberly Biss, if I'm remembering correctly, right? Maybe a couple years back. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have you back on. But let's kind of start from the beginning for those who may not be familiar with your story. Can you take us back to that moment in 2021 when you first realized something was terribly wrong in your unit?
Yes. So I'd be happy to. I transferred to postpartum in 2020. So even though everybody was in COVID mode, wearing their masks and PPE, the mothers and babies were such a blessing to take care of. They were so healthy for the most part, and their babies were adorable, and they'd come in, deliver a baby, and go home happy, and I loved it. And I even remember thinking, like, God put me on this floor because I'm so much happier here, because I worked on the tele floor prior to that, and that was hard work. It was like always heart conditions, lung conditions, kidney problems, cancer, all kinds of chronic issues that were like really taxing, And so as much as I love taking care of people as a nurse, I was just like it was just so great for me to finally have that change. And then 2021 came along, and they started talking about these COVID vaccines that they're going to push on everybody. And it seemed like everybody around me was in this trance. Like all the other nurses were like, get your COVID vaccine. And like everybody was just like mind controlled. And I'm like, no, 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 these vaccines are not going to be a good thing. Like I know this. I feel this in my soul. Like this is not a good thing. And then springtime 2021, we would have these mothers come in, and instead of having the normal healthy mothers and babies, these mothers would come in and their babies had already died inside.
Oh,
And this was very alarming to me, but nobody else, which
right.
is so crazy because this is a human brand new baby that that's it's so valuable and beautiful, and all of a sudden they're dying, right? So that's a huge red flag. And so I was really just observant, and I noticed that these babies that were dying, the mothers had just received the COVID vaccine. So they were going to their OB doctor, and the doctors were pushing the vaccine. And then within like a week, they were at the hospital delivering their dead baby. And it was horrific. And so I kept saying to the nurses around me, what is going on? Even though I knew it, but you know, they were so entranced that I had to ask in a way where I was not like stating the obvious. And then they would say, oh, it's like pesticides, or mothers aren't that healthy these days, or
Mm.
they, it's genetics, you know, it's nothing, whatever they
Anything
said, it
but,
didn't make sense.
anything but the
But
vaccine.
I'm like, how can you, it's so obvious. And
Mhm.
so, so 2021 keeps going by. These babies are dying, and I kept telling my mom, "This is wrong. That, you know, maybe I should just quit and go back to telly because this is like beyond crazy, or, you know, maybe I should just quit altogether at the hospital." And she would say, "Do not quit. Those babies need you and you're saving them."
Yes.
And so you know, I kept working. And at the same time, during orientation, when I started on postpartum, I had to give a hepatitis B vaccine. And I gave this baby this hepatitis B vaccine, and I didn't know anything about this vaccine. In nursing school, they don't teach you about vaccines. All they teach
Mhm.
you is you just give them, they prevent disease, they're safe and effective, right? Blah, blah, blah. And to me, that's what I was programmed to believe up until this point. And so when I gave this vaccine, I felt so disgusted with myself. I felt nauseated. I was like, that didn't feel right. I don't want to do that ever again. I don't know why. I don't like that. And so that was when my mom first said, "Do not quit. Those babies need you and you're saving them." So she told me that probably 10 times that year. And
Mm.
so you know, we were really close. And then I took that as an opportunity to go down the rabbit hole, and I learned all about the hepatitis B vaccine in that year because I was trying to get out of it somehow. I didn't want to have to give it, which I haven't given it now since that time. But when I went down the rabbit hole, I found out all about this vaccine, the ingredients, what it's actually for, why newborns, not one single newborn on the planet would need it to protect themselves against a sexually transmitted disease, because newborns
Right.
don't do that.
Correct. And they're also not
And
IV drug users. So yeah, there's that.
exactly. And we screen all of the mothers. 99.9% of them do not have hepatitis B. So it's not even a public issue at all. And so the fact that we're giving this vaccine to newborns is beyond crazy. And so I kept going to work. And then in 2021, my mom was killed with the hospital protocols. It was devastating. I felt lost for a while there. But I kept going to work because I was the breadwinner. And I also, every time I thought about quitting, I heard my mom say, "Do
Mm.
not quit. Those
Yeah.
babies need you and you're saving them."
She
And so
said
I
it
kept
so
going
many
to work.
times, Michelle. I think she said it so many times to you in that time frame. And it, because it does play over in your head over and over again. And that's kind of been
Yes,
what's been guiding you this entire journey, which is really beautiful when you think about it.
100%.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, she has been guiding me 100%. God has been guiding me because every time I something happens, I feel like I've been protected by the divine. Like,
Yes.
because there's been so many things that have happened that I should have been fired, or Just something will happen where I'm like, that was God looking out for me. And and I can go into that in a little bit, but in 2022, I kept going to work and I kept seeing these dead babies. So prior to 2021 or the COVID shots, we would have 4 dead babies born, stillborns, per year in this hospital. And after the shots started being given to pregnant women, then it became 4 per week. And it didn't stop. You would think, okay, now they're not giving the COVID shots anymore. Not really, right?
Right.
We still have 4 stillborns every single week, and we are in
Really?
2025.
To this
Yes,
day. So, and just
yes,
to make it clear, so 4 per year to now 4 per week, that is an over 5,000% increase in stillbirths. So that is a massive shift.
yes. And that statement alone should wake up every single parent in America.
Yes.
And it's not just happening at my hospital, it's happening across the United States. It's just that by the grace of God, there was a lady who wrote an email, and she's very pro-vax. She wrote this email because of this number of increase alerted her, but the email said, due to the increase in fetal demises, you need to brush up on your policies and learn how to handle a dead baby's body. So that email was sent in September of 2022. So when I got to work, I read this email, and it was written very cold, just like that. Brush up on your policies. And to me, it sounded like, oh, you can't come in and save your dying mother because it's our policy. It wasn't, the email didn't say, because of this increase in dead babies, we need to figure out what the hell is going on so that we don't keep having this issue. And it didn't say that at all. It just said, brush up on your policies. And so
Beautiful.
the first sentence in that email said that, as you all know, there's been an increase in fetal demises. And in the month of August, there were 22 of them. And that's a record number for the hospital. And that ties for July of 2021. And it said this number is projected to increase. And today is September 8th, and we've already had 8 of them.
Wow.
So that's 1 per day. That is insane. And
It
so
really is.
if you really dissect that sentence, it's saying there's an average of 20 stillborns each month for the last year. So for 12 months straight, that's 240 dead babies.
In one
Where in the
hospital
past, right. And in the past, in 1 year, it used to be 4 stillborns.
in a year.
Now it was like 240.
Now, how
So
did your colleagues respond to these numbers? These numbers are climbing. Are they not seeing the trend,
they,
or they're just blaming other things like the pesticides and the health of the
yeah,
mother?
at the time they said, oh, it's pesticides, it's women aren't as healthy these days. Now that we're in 2025, pretty much all of them say, oh yeah, it's the COVID vaccine.
Okay,
And
so they are coming
even
around.
though
Okay.
they are waking up, and it's because I've been so verbal and they've seen my shows that I've been on, but they are still seen, which is weird, but they are waking up. And so it just tells me that the programming really truly runs that deep.
Yeah.
And I think if I had not woken up to the hepatitis B vaccine when I first gave that vaccine, and I felt disgusted with myself, because as kids, when our parent took us to the doctor and when we were babies, that's when they program you.
Yeah.
And so when you're receiving a vaccine, you don't get that feeling. But when you have to give it to a newborn, I got that feeling. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. And
Yeah.
so that's when I started really waking up. And so a lot of nurses, they never do because they're so programmed. And
Yeah, it's
so
really that's so true because we're very programmed, and it's not just in nursing school, as you said. Like the conditioning starts in our childhood when we're going to receive the vaccines. I never really thought about it. When my son was young, I was like, okay, I'm just taking him to get his vaccines because that's what we do. That's what we've always done, and it's just we're very conditioned as a society to really just implicitly trust and not question, or to believe that these people, doctors and people, at the CDC, are doing their due diligence which apparently doesn't happen. I never realized that
Yeah.
vaccines didn't require the same type of stringent safety testing that, say, a pharmaceutical product did, because vaccines are not pharmaceutical products; they're biologics, so they're completely different. Um, but yeah,
Mhm.
we just never really thought about it. And then, yeah, like much like you, I had an awakening right around COVID in 2020. And I thought back and I thought about how many children I have vaccinated over the course of my career. I mean, I've vaccinated countless babies, and then I'm left to wonder, how many of those babies did I injure through my blind ignorance?
Yeah, that's a hard pill to swallow.
It really is.
And a lot of people can't get to that point where you're at. So thank God that
Yeah.
you woke up and um, that that you realize it's wrong. And I'm sure that you're sorry, of course.
Of
Otherwise, you wouldn't
course.
be
Yeah.
doing what you're doing now with the whole
Yeah.
podcast and everything. But
Yeah.
some people they can't. It's really hard to look at yourself and really that humility. So that's honorable of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try to give myself a lot of grace because, for what I didn't know at the time, we can't continue to hold on to that guilt. But when we know better, we're called upon to do better. That's what I'm trying to do moving forward with Remnant Healthcare and what we're building with that. We want to be able to move forward and do better for these future generations of children. And I think that we're
Mhm.
accomplishing that. And I'm really, really proud of my team and really everybody that's out here and speaking out and speaking the truth. So yourself and all of our colleagues that have really dared to step out of the matrix and build something
Mhm.
new and better, hopefully.
Right. And I think hopefully we're bridging the gap too, because there's a
Yes.
giant gap from those who um, have given vaccines or received vaccines, the programming to waking up. There's a huge gap there.
Yeah.
But we're helping and people are waking up. So that's a great thing.
Exactly. And thank God for that. But what was your moment? Like, what point did you decide, listen, I can't stay silent any longer. I have to speak out and say something? Because I had that moment, with the remdesivir in the hospitals and the vaccines and all of the injuries that I was seeing. Um, I had that moment where I was like, I have to say something. I don't care who listens. I've got to at least get it off my conscience that I said something. I tried to reach somebody. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, when I read the email,
Yeah.
um, and up until that email, I felt like the devil was just like poking at me, like, "Oh, I took your mom. Now these babies are dying. Everybody's all in this trance, telling you, oh, if you don't get the vaccine, you're dirty. You're spreading your diseases, and you're gonna try to kill everyone and your grandma." And it was like every time it was like a chip, like, "Haha, got you." And so I just had enough. And then when I got that email, I was like, I'm done. You guys, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm done with your policies. I'm done with all of this. It's crazy. And so when I got the email, I sent it to my friend and she sent it straight to RFK. And what are the odds that she would even have his email?
Right.
But they're friends. They talk all the time. And so I sent it to RFK. He sent it to a team of like 16 people. He said, take care of this. He sent it to like reporters and stuff. And so people started reaching out to me. They said, hey, would you be willing to talk about this email? And I said, yeah, sure. And part of me was like, oh, I could definitely get fired for this. But I was like, I don't even care. You guys already took my mom. I mean, all these babies are dying. Like, what does it matter? And then I also thought, you know what? As long as I'm doing the right thing, um, God will always provide
That's right.
even if I'm not working here at the hospital anymore, I'll always be okay. Like I'll always have enough. And so I just when people would ask, "Hey, will you go on the show?" I just said, "Yeah, of course." And my first one was Epoch Times, which was a news article. So Matt from Epoch Times called me. He
Oh,
said,
Matt McGregor?
"Will you?" Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
said, "Will
great.
you talk about this?" Yeah, he is. And I said, of course. And then my friend that I had sent the email to originally, she was like, we need an OBGYN for some reason. And so Matt had called me like the next day, and he was like, "Hey, I have an OBGYN. I'd love to connect you with him." And I'm like, "Okay, go for it." And I'm like, "That's so crazy," because yesterday my friend literally said, "I need an OBGYN." I was like, "Here you go."
It,
And that's how it's been
yep.
the whole time. Every time I'm like, "Hey, I need this," somebody is like, "I got you."
Yeah, it's
I'm
how
like,
everything just aligns. It's really beautiful.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah. And
So
I'm assuming
like,
you're referring to Dr. James Thorpe.
oh yes, yes, yes.
Yes, Jim
So I
Thorpe, he's
spoke to
amazing.
him. He is amazing, and he's just a godly man,
Yes.
And he just took this torch and ran with it. And I appreciate him so much. I still talk to him all the time. And but yeah, so I've lost a lot of friends along the way that were friends, I guess, but I have gained so many friends who are like freedom fighter friends who are just ready to take on this battle with me. And so it's been a beautiful experience, actually. Crazy, but
It really is. It's like the
I
wheat
really,
separating from the chaff. I mean, you're shedding
yeah.
things that no longer are serving you, and you are gaining so much more through this journey. I know that's how I have felt. But you released all that information, and that did not come without retaliation. If I'm remembering correctly, you did face some retaliation from your hospital. I believe
Oh,
you
yes.
had you were demoted, and maybe there was a bonus or something. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. Um,
Yeah, that's exactly it. So I spoke on these shows, and I spoke in the Died Suddenly documentary, where they showed a little clip of the email. And then my workplace saw that. So the Died Suddenly documentary was aired November 29th of 2022. And that I remember because it was a 1 year angelversary of my mom's death,
mhm.
November 29th. And then the documentary was out the next year on that day. And so they called me into a meeting on December 4th, 2022. And they said they questioned me for 40 minutes. They tried to get me to admit to violating HIPAA, which I didn't violate HIPAA. But they wanted me to admit it because I think they were planning on firing me. So right before I went into that meeting, I said, "God, just be with me, please. Give me the words because this is it." And I thought I was going to get fired. And I was like, even if I get fired, it's okay because I did the right thing. And then they questioned me for 40 minutes. And I finally said, I'm a whistleblower. I have rights. And I didn't even know what a whistleblower was until right before I went into that meeting. I called Mary Holland from who I had a connection with my friend Curtis Cost. He said, "Call Mary Holland. She's a lawyer for children's self-defense. So just call her." Right before I went in, she said, "You're a whistleblower, so you're okay." She's like, "Just go in there, be honest, it's okay." And then, so I didn't even know. I went in there. I said, "I'm a whistleblower. I have rights." That was like after 40 minutes of being questioned. And then they said, okay, they said, "Are you aware that it's against company policy to copy and paste an internal document?" And I said, "Why are you wasting your resources investigating why I copy and pasted an email? You guys need to be or you need to be investigating why babies are dying."
Hmm.
And then
Exactly.
they were like, yeah, they were like, "You can go back to work, Michelle." And I was like, "What?" I
They
can go
didn't
back
have
to
an
work.
answer to that one, did they?
And I was like, I swear I thought I was getting fired that
Uh-huh.
day. So when they said go back to work, I was like, huh?
Okay. Right. You were probably ready to just go pack up your stuff and and just walk out the door. I could see
Yeah,
why. Um,
yeah, exactly. And so when I left the meeting, I had this realization like, oh my God, they're not going to fire me because I'm a
mhm.
whistleblower. That would be
Well, yes.
retaliation.
Exactly, retaliation,
Yeah.
and they're afraid of what that would look like for them because whistleblowers do have some
Mhm.
federal protections. So they
Yes.
understand that they're going to end up they're always thinking about they're always hospitals are risk averse, so they're always thinking worst case scenario. They're probably like in their minds thinking, okay, well, we're going to fire her eventually, but we've got to do it in such a way that our hands will be completely clean and they've got to talk to
Mhm.
their liability team and their lawyers and all the things. Um,
Right.
but
Yep.
now to
Yep.
this day, are you still employed?
I am.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I know it's crazy. The so that was December 4th, that meeting. And then I was supposed to receive a retention bonus on December 22nd. For remaining employed throughout COVID for 2 years, they were supposed to they gave all the nurses a bonus. So December 22nd came right before Christmas, and all the nurses were like, oh, we got our bonus check. We're going to go buy this present for whoever, we're going to pay these bills, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't get one. And so I called the human resources lady and I said, hey, I noticed I didn't get a retention bonus. Did something happen? She's like, oh yeah, we didn't give it to you because you shared the email. You broke the rules. And I was like, huh, that's weird. That sounds like retaliation to me. And she's like, no, it's not retaliation. It's you didn't qualify. And I'm like thinking, yeah, that still sounds like retaliation. Like in my head, I'm like, wait, what part of that isn't retaliation?
Right.
So it was very confusing. So then I was like, okay, that's fine. I get it, And then the bonus that I would have received if I had remained full time, which I had changed, I converted or, switched to part-time halfway through. But if I had stayed full time, my bonus would have been, which all these other nurses received, right? A check for $6,666.
Oh my God, Michelle. So six. Oh, wow.
Right. Yeah.
I remember that now that you just said that. I had completely forgotten about that little detail. That was just
Right.
incredible.
Isn't
So
that
I'm sure you're glad you didn't get that bonus.
Yeah, I was like, when I realized the number was 6666, I was like, and you know what? I don't need your evil money. It's okay.
Exactly. That's wild.
Right. So right. And so I kept going to work though after that because I was like, they kept my bonus. That's shitty, but like whatever. And I kept
Yeah.
working and I kept giving mothers informed consent about hepatitis B vaccines. And I kept speaking out on shows for a little bit, but then everything got quiet for a little bit and it was okay. I kept going to work and I do enjoy my job. I like the mothers a lot. I love the babies, even though they're still dying, right? But it was kind of quiet. I didn't go on shows very much, like all of 2024. And I realized it all happens in God's timing, because if I had pursued a lawsuit in 2022 under Biden, it wouldn't have been the same as it is now. Like I know it's meant to happen now. Like this is beautiful because there's been lawsuits happening all over now. Like Grace Shahara,
Grace Shahara's
that
case, yeah.
they, Scott, yeah, like that just happened. There was another one, Dr. Moore, which is also, he's a warrior. All these
Kirk
different
Moore,
ones are
yes,
popping
yeah.
up and it's helping a lot.
Yeah.
So, my lawsuit's just going to add to that. So,
Well,
anyway,
I want to dig into that lawsuit a little bit, but we're up against a break. So when we come back, I'm going to ask you some about this lawsuit that you are moving forward with, which I'm really, really excited to hear about. But let's go ahead and take that break, and we'll be right back here shortly. America Out Loud Talk Radio plays on the iHeartRadio network. You can also listen on our media player from any web browser anywhere in the world. We have the best in-class apps available on Apple, Android, or Alexa, 24/7 Great Talk Radio. All of our shows go to podcast the following day. You can hear them on apps such as Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeart Podcast, and many more. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts for me. Don't forget to check out our online store at americaoutloud.shop, where you can find all of the products we represent on our network at a discounted rate, including an incredible line of products from Chemical Free Body. Unlike the majority of supplements you'll find on the market today, with Chemical Free Body, you won't have to worry about harmful ingredients, binders, fillers, or flow agents. Their ultra-safe breakthrough nanosilver technology destroys pathogens, balances the microbiome, and boosts immunity. All of these products are proudly made in the USA and are backed by an unheard of double your money back guarantee. I've made a twice daily Green 85 drink part of my routine, which has led to a decrease in belly bloat and an increase in my energy throughout the day. Use promo code OUTLOUD to save 20% off the Healthy Gut Bundle. I'll catch you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
In just 2 minutes per day, you can reclaim your health and vitality and cut your grocery bill in half with one simple, convenient product. Our doctor-formulated Green 85 juice formula's powerful dose of ultra-concentrated essential nutrients stops hunger in its tracks and supplies your cells with what's missing in the grocery store food. It's packed with wheatgrass, chlorella, dandelion, moringa, spirulina, broccoli sprouts, acai berry, beetroot, probiotics, enzymes, vitamins A, D, K, B12, just to name a few. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud today. Get nature's super multivitamin Green 85, empower your immune system, cut down on your grocery bill, and save 20% on your first order.
Oral hygiene hasn't changed in 50 years, but our diet and the way we eat has, creating an environment in your mouth for bacteria to wreak havoc on your teeth and gums. For better oral health, get Spry Dental Defense, an oral care line designed to combat acid-creating bacteria. The toothpaste, mouthwash, mints, and gum all contain xylitol, a natural ingredient shown to dramatically improve oral health. Spry can be found online and at all fine natural retailers.
Feeling off lately? Bloated, brain fog, low energy? It could be parasites. These silent invaders that weaken your gut, immune system, and mental clarity. That's why Dr. Peter McCullough and the doctors at the Wellness Company formulated ivermectin and mebendazole cleanse, a medical-grade solution designed to help eliminate parasites and restore balance. No gimmicks, just real medicine trusted by top doctors. Go to twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order. Take control of your health today.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Bragman, board-certified EO in internal and geriatric medicine. Do you or someone you know suffer from airborne allergies due to pollen, pet dander, and other particles, which aggravate and irritate the sensitive nasal passages? Are you tired of the side effects of common allergy products, such as drowsiness, feeling lethargic, and dry nose? Well, now there's Cofix RX. This revolutionary product stops airborne allergy symptoms, all while avoiding the side effects of the usual allergy remedies. Shake, spray, and cleanse away your allergy issues with Cofix RX. Click on the Cofix RX banner ad in the American Out Loud shop for 20% off your next order of Cofix RX.
Let's get real, let's get loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. This is a McCullough Report, and I'm Dr. Peter McCullough. But I want to put in a word about the Bear Bar. The Bear Bar, and we feature Bear Bar products on the America Out Loud shop website. So go to America Out Loud shop and get your discount. You are going to want to try the Bear Bar. Get a whole box. The flavors include the original, turmeric, spicy, and herb. Now these are all natural, no GMOs, no artificial ingredients whatsoever. They're carefully baked and made in a facility in San Diego, California, under the watch of Brian Bowers, who I personally know. So these are, in a sense, handcrafted. They have great ingredients and all the natural ingredients that your body is going to want. Now, they're not a sweet bar. They are savory, meaning when you eat them, you get a great sense of satisfaction. I told Malcolm on our last show, you get a sense of feeling healthy when you eat the Bear Bar. I think one of the best applications is crumble it up, and you can put it on a salad, for instance. Probably the best salad topper I think I've ever had. And but you certainly can eat it as a snack. Malcolm likes to eat them right before I come on our show. No wonder he's in such a good mood when he comes on with me on America Out Loud Pulse. So when you eat a Bear Bar, this is not like any other energy or power bar. This is healthy. The ingredients include baked kale, cashews, so many other wonderful products incorporated into a bar. They are slow baked and without any preservatives. And so, that's the reason why they can crumble a little bit. But, crumbling is what you should get in a natural bar as opposed to a gooey, sticky, manufactured bar with all kinds of chemicals in it. You won't see a single chemical in a Bear Bar. Check them out. Go to America Out Loud shop and then search for the Bear Bar. Order a box. I'd suggest order a box for each one of the flavors now so you get a sense of what they are. Non-GMO, gluten-free. That's important for me. I'm gluten-free. I know I can have any one of the Bear Bars and get healthy now. So let's get real. Let's get loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio.
America turns the big 250, 250 years on July 4th, 2026. Tell us your uniquely American story by emailing us at liberty@americaoutloud.news. We'll publish the results on a special webpage celebrating the best of America. Now is our time, my fellow Americans. AmericaOutloud.news. Liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Wherever you're listening from today and whatever you're doing, I thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Be sure to make AmericaOutloud.news your daily stop for all the latest news and happenings. We all must do our part and share the stories, the articles, the podcasts, and videos so we can help secure America's future. If you're just joining us, I've been talking with nurse whistleblower Michelle Spencer. Michelle, thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, so before we went to break, we were talking a little bit about you've got this lawsuit that is coming up, and we talked a little bit about how, where you're glad that you are doing it now versus in 2022. It kind of the environment was not going to be conducive for a successful suit with that administration. You feel like now with Trump, with RFK in there, it's going to be, the terrain will be a little less rocky, I feel like, and it'll be a better road for you. But tell us about the lawsuit. What specifically is the lawsuit alleging?
Yeah, so the lawsuit is alleging that my workplace retaliated against a whistleblower, first of all. And in order to even create this lawsuit, it had to have something to make it qualify to be able to list this complaint. And so thank God they retaliated. Thank God they didn't give me that check, because if it weren't for that event, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Because in order to even get it to the judge's eyes, there has to be something like this. So if not for the retaliation, there'd be no way to say hey, all these babies are dying. Let's go and find out, in discovery and prove it and all that. They would just think I'm just some disgruntled anti-vax nurse. Yeah. Or whatever. It wouldn't have the power that it does. And so I am so thankful that they did that. Their evil money stayed with them. That's great. And so, that's one. So, and then the other one is unethical business practices. So I complained to Fresno PD. I said, hey, all these babies are dying. And so by just giving them that information, they should have an obligation to investigate because it's a public health issue. I'm also a public health nurse. I see this as a public health issue. So I also went to the California Department of Public Health and I wrote a complaint, and they said that they'll type it in the computer and they'll call me. They never called me. And when I went back to see, hey, I called them a couple months ago, but I complained back in 2023. And I said, hey, I called I wrote a complaint about these babies dying. And that wasn't followed up on. And they sent me a letter saying that they had called me, but that they never heard back from me. So they closed the complaint, and nothing in the complaint says anything about dead babies. And so if you are a public health department and somebody complains to you and says, hey, all these babies are dying, you have an obligation to go investigate that too. And for them to say, oh, we called you and you didn't answer the phone, so we close the case.
Right.
Why would you close the case like that?
Why would you not investigate regardless if they could get in touch with you? Let me just go take a look and see what's going on over at this hospital where all of these babies are dying.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's crazy. So that just means that they're just in cahoots with the hospital too. And then I complained to the California Labor Board because of the retaliation, the missing bonus check. Not that I wanted the money. I just wanted the record of, hey, I'm complaining. This is what they did. And they also did not see that complaint as something that was important. So we're talking about God's babies They're the most important thing that exists. I mean, whenever you have a brand new baby, that's a gift from God. That is a pure little baby for you to love. And so all these people who don't take my complaint serious about dead babies, it's like they don't have the value of human life. Like they would just value being quiet, following orders, and
Yeah.
just I don't even know. It's really crazy. And it's it's still crazy working there because of this mindset that most of these people have.
Oh,
And
I
so
bet. I bet. And you're in
yeah,
California, right? You're in kind of the
yes,
belly of the beast out there. I will
yes.
say. So all of the mothers of these babies that had died were vaccinated. You determined that. So were any of the did any of them get reported to VAERS or did that
Very
happen?
little. I don't think any of them have truly been reported from Fresno
Mhm.
community. I spoke to the number one auditor of VAERS, and he said that it's very hard to file a complaint with VAERS. It's not
It
user
is.
friendly. You
Not at
have to
all.
almost have a doctorate degree in medical science or whatever. And when you submit things, they'll cut things out if they don't really want it there. And so he tried himself many times, and they would alter his complaints. And so theirs isn't even accurate. And the amount of information that's on theirs now is even surprising because of the way that they alter things. So I don't think any of them have really been filed with theirs. So also I complained to the board of supervisors, and I asked for a documentation of all the babies born dead in Fresno, California for the last 10 years. Because if the last 5 years or 4 years, if it's been, around 200, which is a very large increase compared to before, then the last 4 years, the number should be significantly higher for Fresno, California.
Mm.
And he sent me a report for the last 10 years. The baby deaths, the stillborns, the number was almost the same. It's like 110
Mm.
per year since 2015.
And you've
So
had more
you
than that
already
just
know
in your
that's super
hospital.
inaccurate.
Yeah, because you've
Yeah,
had
we
more
have
than that just in
200
your
at
hospital
least.
alone. That's so
Right,
crazy.
just from 2021. So that number is obviously so inaccurate. And then it said vaccines caused by death. And every single one for the last 10 years, the row says 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for 10 years. And I'm
Mm.
like, that is so crazy. But of course, if a baby is a stillborn, they're not going to blame a vaccine because they're going to say it's something that the mother did, blame it on her body. They're not going to say it was caused directly from a vaccine because you can give a vaccine to a pregnant woman, and if a baby is born dead a couple weeks later, they're not going to say it was from the vaccine. So the way that it's worded is also it's like biased. Um, but anyway, it's so obvious that all these entities are lying instead of doing the right thing. They're all just
I mean, here
going
we
along with
are,
it.
where are we 4 years since, well, 5 years really, because the vaccines rolled out almost 5 years. December 2020 is when the vaccines rolled out. I mean, I was seeing injury at bedside very, very early on, and I was very vocal about that from the beginning when I started Nurse Freedom Network. And I am so disturbed that here we are in 2025 and these products are still on the market. They are being given to children. We've had like small wins where they're not recommending them for, under 6 months or 6 months or whatever on the CDC schedule anymore. So we've had these little tiny small wins. But the fact that these products are still on the market at all for anyone is just horrific to me. It's absolutely horrific.
Me too. I agree.
But
Yeah.
in your eyes, Michelle, what does justice look like for you, for these mothers, for these babies, and for nurses like yourself who have been silenced? What does justice look like?
Informed consent for all the mothers that lost a baby. I think they should call their doctor offices and say, why would you recommend something like that when there was the potential that I could lose my baby? And I want the doctors to say sorry, at least at the minimum. I don't know if there will ever be a justice that's adequate enough for the damage that they've caused. But I want them to stop silencing people. I want people to wake up and say, okay, vaccine injuries are very real. It happens every day, and we should stop gaslighting mothers. We should stop saying that, oh, it wasn't the vaccine that harmed you, and just be transparent. And then informed consent is huge because they're not being given informed consent, and that's like the base. That's the first thing we learn in nursing is you have to give informed consent. So and do no harm. So basically, we've gotten so far away from that, and we have to get back to that.
I agree with you.
And yeah, so I kept working the last couple of years. It quieted down a little bit, even though the babies were still dying. I stopped kind of going on shows for a little bit, because I was just kind of working. And then a couple months ago, I was in a patient's room, and I tell every single mother, I'm like, look, your baby, they're going to offer you the hepatitis B vaccine for your baby, but your baby is not at risk for getting hepatitis B. You don't have hepatitis B. We checked because 99% of the mothers don't have it. So your baby's not at risk at getting hepatitis B. The only other way your baby could get it is through sexual transmission, but your baby's not going to have sex with anybody for a very long time. And by the time your baby is sexually active, that vaccine would have worn off anyways. So your baby doesn't need it. On top of that, well, if they ask for more information, I'll tell them there's a lot of aluminum in there. And there's formaldehyde and other toxic ingredients that don't belong in your baby's body. So I am just giving informed consent. All of this information is on the VIS form, right?
Yes.
It's written in a very biased way where if you just read it and you don't know anything else, you'll say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I might as well get it. But you shouldn't get it ever. But anyway, I give that information to mothers, and they say, then no, I don't want it. If my baby doesn't need it, no. I'm like, good, that's great. And so because of me being so loud about this, and I'm so passionate about this particular vaccine. No vaccines are good or safe or effective, but especially the hepatitis B vaccine because it's a brand new baby. And so I'm like, if I start at the source and I can help them to not get one vaccine to begin with, maybe they won't follow up with the doctor and get more because maybe I planted that seed. And so it's very important that I plant that seed. So I've been planting that seed with all of the nurses. I just took the functional medicine program that you had completed previously.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed that program. And there's a page in there, one of the slides that say all the aluminum content in all the vaccines. And so I had just seen that slide one day and I was blown away by the amount of aluminum. So I printed that one particular slide and I told Melissa I was doing this too. She was totally on board. And I started giving that picture to all the nurses. And I'm like, look, this hepatitis B vaccine has 250 micrograms of aluminum in it. The FDA says do not give more than 18 micrograms. It's not safe in a newborn's body. I said, every time you give that vaccine to an infant, you are chemically assaulting that baby. I tell the nurses this like flat out to their face because I'm like, they should feel responsible for harming a baby. They need to know what they're doing.
Yes, once they know, then yes, you're right. Because the Nightingale Pledge, right? We should not knowingly be giving medications that can cause harm.
Yes, exactly. And so I told basically all the nurses one at a time because I wanted to tell them directly so they feel responsible because I want them to think. And I'm kind of doing them a favor because we're taught to critically think, and so I'm making them think. And so one of the nurses complained and told my boss, Michelle's passing this flyer around. And so my boss called me in her office again. She's like, you can't pass that flyer around. It's considered soliciting. It's against policy. Here we are with policies again. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And when I walked out, I was like, whatever, I already gave all the nurses the flyer by now anyway. So, but I'm like, I made a nurse that uncomfortable for her to complain about me. I'm like, but she couldn't even, like, you feel that uncomfortable about what I gave you, but you're not uncomfortable giving the shot. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's backwards. But anyway, I told this mother this because I tell all the mothers now, because instead of quitting my job, I turned it into okay, I'll give informed consent. And so that's actually a blessing again. And so I tell the moms that what I just told you about hepatitis B vaccines. And a family member complained to my boss and said that Michelle is giving biased information. She's talking mothers out of giving the hepatitis B vaccine. And she said that the only way you get hepatitis B is through sexual transmission. And when my boss named all those things off, I said, yes, that's correct.
There's the lie.
And exactly. And my boss was like, I think she thought I was going to deny that, but I was like, no, that's correct information. And she was like, I know you have your beliefs, Michelle, but you need to do what's required of you per the institution. So I said, no. I said, we are taught to do no harm. And every time a nurse gives that vaccine, they're chemically assaulting a baby. They should not cause harm to a baby. It's wrong. And she just said, again, I know you have your beliefs, Michelle, but you're required to do, or you need to do what's required of you per the institution. And so that didn't sit right with me that day. This was a couple months ago, right? After everything had been quiet for a while. And then when I walked out of there, I was like, you know what? I'm done again, right? And so I called Mary Holland from Children's Health Defense and I said, can you please help me? I need a lawyer because there's just too much over here. Like, please send somebody. And so she called Greg Glaser from California. And he's like amazing. He's a trailblazer with this whole thing. He's been just on top of it. Like he called me, I told him my story. He took a lot of notes. He proposed a letter to Children's Health Defense saying, like, can you help this whistleblower? Can you help fund a lawsuit for her? And it aligns with the mission on that Children's Health Defense is on, to not harm children. And can you help her so we can move forward? And they said yes.
That's amazing.
I know. And
that is so amazing.
When they said yes. When I got the letter back that they said yes, I just dropped to my knees and I cried and I thanked God because I'm like, this is the most incredible opportunity. I feel like I'm going up against Goliath.
You are in many ways. Yeah. Yeah, in many ways,
Yes,
you've been
but I'm
very
like,
courageous throughout this entire ordeal.
yeah,
You've just shown so much courage.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. And I felt like God has just been like guiding me the whole time. I mean, people say I'm brave. I know I sound brave. I mean, I feel brave now, but I also feel like it hasn't been hard. I know that he's been helping me the whole time. Like, I just know that it's all been leading up to this. And then Children's Health Defense to be able to help me fight this, to go to battle, and they're funding this. I know it's got to be expensive. And I'm so grateful. So here we are now. So it's been a journey. And in court, we're pretty much just going to say, bring back informed consent, bring out the truth about the dead babies because they've been hiding the information, and about retaliation against a whistleblower because I did the right thing and they all have been hiding this stuff.
Absolutely.
So.
And I'm actually publishing a piece on my Substack about your case and about everything that you have done these last few years, just the courageous the way that you have saved these babies. Like as your mom said, those babies need you, and you're going to save them, and you have. And I just think it's such a beautiful thing. So I'm going to be covering this in my Substack. So to my listeners, make sure that you are subscribed to that. It's nursefreedomnetwork.substack.com. You can read all about Michelle, her journey, and follow the lawsuit. And I will be following along with that and providing updates as we move forward with that. I'm so excited. So final words, Michelle, as we're kind of running out of time, and you were afraid we weren't going to have enough to talk about. That's so funny. we can talk forever.
Yeah.
But how do you see faith playing a role in this battle for truth for the next generation coming behind us?
Well, if we can bridge this gap, if we can wake up these young parents, which Casey, hopefully, maybe he can come on at another time. He's really helping me with this. If we can bridge this gap and wake them up, I hope that we get to a point where there are no more vaccines, because not one single vaccine has ever been proven to prevent one single disease like people have been programmed to believe. Because the next generation, once we all heal from this, can be whole and happy and at peace, and like that's all that we want. We just want this world to be a happier place. We want people to connect and care about each other and bring value back to human life, because the human life is so valuable. And so we're bringing hope back. I say I'm talking about, well, all of us, me and you, but Casey here locally. I work at a wellness clinic along with working at the hospital, and we are turning it into like an autism center where we're helping people who have been vaccine injured, or kids with autism or allergies, all kinds of, different issues. We're just helping to bring healing back to them. And so I want to help heal all of the ones who have been injured. And then if they stop all the vaccines, then the next generation will be pure to begin with.
Yes.
So that people will be healed. That's my ultimate goal.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to undo the damage that's been done, but we've got to start somewhere. And I think you're doing an amazing and beautiful job. I'm so grateful for you and all of the work that you've done, all of the work you continue to do. And I look forward to collaborating with you, in the days and months and years ahead. You've been absolutely amazing. I'll make sure that everybody knows how to get in touch with Michelle and reach out to her in the link the show notes that will accompany this episode. Michelle Spencer, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And that is all the time that we have for today, friends. But remember, we are here on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, with a different nurse host daily. You can also catch the encore at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to tune in and listen to myself and these courageous nurses. As we walk you through all of these hot topics, we will empower you with information and education. We will advocate and we will stand in the gap for you, because we are nurses and this is what we do. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton, and you can find me here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, be safe, be well, and God bless. Remember, we are in a war for truth. We're putting out a bounty on the real misinformation and exposing the purveyors of propaganda. No topic is off limits as we shine our lights and expose the darkness.